Hello, and welcome to your A Week Ahead in the Astrology with Nadia and myself, Jana. We're looking at the week of Tuesday, July 6th to Monday, July 12th. And right before we started, I just said to Nadia, I feel so discombobulated. Like I'm not finding my words or things are weird. And, it is kind of appropriate because today we have Mercury square Neptune and Venus opposite Saturn. And before I get too far into what the astrology is this week, I can give you a really quick shortcut. If you watch last week's video and you understand the astrology of last week, Venus is going through all the same transits that Mars went through last week. And so I don't know about you, but last week I wrestled with myself in ways that I haven't wrestled with myself in a really long time. And when it's Mars has a lot to do with like our passion and our fight and our like the way we penetrate our lives. And it's very, it's a fiery energy. Mars is raring to go. And Venus is a bit more, well, Venus still has a bit of a streak in her, but it does tend to seek for more harmony, more pleasure, more play, more joy. Venus will have us looking at our values. And so it goes through the same sequence this week. So instead of breaking down all the little pieces, I'm just going to talk about Venus for a second. So today, Venus is opposite Saturn. And this can feel like a pulling apart or boundaries coming up around all of those topics that I just said. We have to remember that Venus is in Leo and Saturn is in Aquarius. And so if you want to try and tame this opposition, I think what we need to look for is that sweet spot in our spine where our heart can be more open. Because when Saturn opposes Venus, it could feel like something's being taken away or like it's opposing. It's like you think you have a great idea and somebody comes along and says, no, that's not a good idea. Or you think you're on your way to great love and all of a sudden they ghost you, or, like the opposite of what you think. It's an opposition. It's like pulling away from each other. And the quote that's kind of running around in my head to help us through this is one that one of my girlfriends said years ago to me that's helped me many times over. And that's that rejection is God's form of protection sometimes. And so when we look at the things that are maybe being pulled apart or not working out the way that you planned or slowing down or bigger boundaries than you had anticipated, perhaps instead of fighting with it, we can sit back into it and say, okay, so what is this no creating a yes for later on? And again, this is if we were following the same pathway as last week. If you remember, Mars at first, it was like kind of a battleground, and then it moved to redemption. And so that's the same with Venus. Tomorrow we have Venus trine Chiron. So maybe today it's like, or, it could be any time in the next 2 weeks, really. But it could be kind of a growly wrestling with yourself, wanting to fight in relationships, something not working out the way you want, maybe feeling collapsed or cut off. And then tomorrow, instead of blaming it on somebody else, the harmonious energy with Chiron is really actually helping us to own it. Like, oh, wait a second. Everybody's going through a shit time right now. There's a lot of turbulence in the psychic airwaves. There's a lot of unknowns and uncertainty and a lot of change happening right now. Maybe that person didn't actually mean to fight with me. Maybe they're also having a time and I didn't recognize that I was having a time. And now that I can see that maybe there's a possibility that we're both having a time, that seat in your heart, in your spine and opening your heart can lend to more compassion and empathy, starting with yourself. And I think that's a really important thing for Wednesday. Thursday, then we have Venus squaring Uranus. And so now that's where the awakening can possibly come. But I want to, what I'm thinking about here, what's coming up for me here is with Venus square Uranus, Venus is in Leo, Uranus is in Taurus. These are both fixed energy, and Uranus and Taurus is, it's a really interesting mashup just all by itself, because Taurus is very kind of a determined traditionalist that likes creature comforts. And then Uranus is in there saying like, No, you cannot take your time. We got to speed things up. No, you can't have your creature comforts. I'm going to make it uncomfortable. And so they're already kind of in a clash with each other without putting a square into the picture. And Uranus is still really in the energy of this square to Saturn over in Aquarius. And then and then we have the Venus square Uranus as well, making for a T square. And so if we can actually hold the charge, like instead of running away from your life, or instead of pointing your finger and blaming or projecting your pain onto someone else's actions, or all the different ways that we avoid ourselves, if you can sit in it and hold the charge, because Uranus is electricity, and stay with the messaging that's coming through the discomfort, and stay with the messaging that's coming through the, like, I don't know, whatever it is for you, because it's different for everybody, and feel it. Like, just feel it and get quiet and listen to it, so that when Uranus brings up this discontinuous energy that's shocking or spontaneous or a little bit of upheaval, the Venus can sit deeper into the fixed energy of the Leo archetype that says, no, I'm going to sit in my heart. I'm going to be here with you no matter what is going on, and love yourself into a greater understanding, which can bring that big awakening. And I love that Uranus is a planet that we often associate with Kundalini energy. And the work that I've done with Dr. Joe Dispenza, he often shares that Kundalini, it takes a lot of effort for it to lift through the bottom 3 energy centers. And because we get stuck there, but then the next big effort, like the first big effort is to move it in the first place. The second big effort is to have your heart open to allow it to continue moving. And so with Venus in Leo, and Leo is like the giant heart when it's in a really healthy place. And actually Venus in Leo, I kind of like Venus in Leo. I think it's like a little bit fun and romantic and sexy and playful, and wants to, I don't know, if you want to read more about Venus in Leo, Nadia wrote an incredible post on Instagram about that. You can check that out. I think that there's a huge potential for some great awakening in here. And all of this is under the phase of the balsamic moon. So the moon is going towards darkness, towards the Cancer new moon on Friday. And so this is another cue that instead of looking outward, instead of blaming, instead of, saying it's the other people in the relationship, to look at, let them work out their stuff, because they're working out stuff. Everybody's working out stuff right now. So give them a break. Let them have the space and the time that they need to work it out, and worry about you. Like, focus, maybe worry is not the right word. Focus on you. Can you let yourself be still enough? Can you let yourself be at home within yourself and self-reflective enough that you can actually hear the wisdom that's trying to move through you as we move towards this new moon? Okay. What I didn't mention in that is, well, I did right at the beginning. Tuesday, we have the third of 3 Mercury square Neptunes, which help us remember that everything that is happening right now is a story anyway. So don't get overly caught up or attached to any of the stories that are being told. I've been sitting with this idea that everything is a story quite a bit, and trying to challenge myself to see even that statement, like everything is a story, from a different perspective. And what came up for me yesterday in my hammock was that even creation is a story. Even like the origins of existence is a story. What happens after death is a story. How we get here is a story. Everything is a story. We're trying to make sense of something that is not meant to be completely understood. And so our very existence is one where the more we surrender to the unknown, the greater knowing that arises, which is an oxymoron and totally contradictive, right? But the more we think we know, the more further we get away from actual truth, because every belief system is a layer between you and the big capital T truth. Every perspective can be challenged or changed. every reason, justification, orientation, all of it, it's all up for debate. And we're mutable by nature. We are changing by nature. The only thing that doesn't change is that everything is changing. And so what this Mercury square Neptune is reminding me is that everything is a story. And so if a part of the story that's unfolding in your world is causing discomfort, this is a square, and it's challenging you. Instead of challenging the person, what if you challenge the story? What if you challenge the belief? What if you opened yourself to a greater understanding that everybody's perspective is a product of all of the experiences that they've ever had in their life so far, which is impossible for anybody to understand about anybody else ever in the history of the world. It would be absolutely impossible. And so we just give everybody a little bit of a break because we're all seeing everything through a unique lens, right? It's like we're all in our own dimensions, these billions of different dimensions, cohabiting, coexisting, confiding, contracting, competing, that it's just all of these different perspectives always. And so I think for me, it's the softening around how much I know with quotation marks, and allowing myself to become free of certainty and more okay in the unknown, in the mystery. So those are my little lessons from this. And also I know Nadia wrote about it as well in a very similar way. And then the new moon on Friday, I'm actually going to go way more into that in the new moon circle that is happening on Thursday at Attuned to the Moon. You can sign up through our website. But this new moon circle, it kind of continues on with what I've been talking about, in that everybody has reasons to hide or reasons to hurt or our own sufferings. And these sufferings are shared with us through who knows how many different ways. And everybody ultimately is looking to find nurturing, right? Like we want to be loved. We want to know that it's okay. We want to be like the little baby that can just let out a cry and mama comes and holds them and makes everything all better. You stub your toe and mommy comes and kisses your toe and it all gets better. We all want that still on some level. And that to me is really the peak understanding of the emotionality of the Cancer new moon, is that we just want to be loved. We just want to be cared for. We just want to be nurtured. And so this is an amazing opportunity for us to really look inside and see what is it for you. And when you do it today, pardon me, I've got a when you do it for yourself today, it echoes through generations. It echoes through your lifetimes. It echoes through time and space. It echoes on and on and on and on. And the Cancer new moon, we can't forget that this is a check-in with our ancestors. And so as we check in with our ancestors, we also remember that the healing work that we're doing today helps them and it helps the generations to come. And if you believe in the cycle of karma and reincarnation, when you do the work for today, you're also doing the work for your future self as you reincarnate, and yourself today becomes your future self's ancestor. And so there's this beautiful multidimensional opportunity to have a greater understanding of yourself at a soul level, at a really deep ancestral and even deeper soul level, in the gift of whatever it is that you're working on now. Personally, well, I'll leave my personal stuff out of here, but there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work that we can do. And then the astrology is just so sweet to us. On the weekend, all we have, it's still quite significant. Mercury left the shadow on Wednesday, and Saturday we have the moon moving into Leo, and then we have Mercury on Sunday moving into Cancer. And I know that Nadia has more to share about the moon moving into Cancer, Mercury moving into Cancer, whether she shares that today. I didn't ask her. So maybe she'll share that today. If not, it will for sure be up on our Instagram this weekend. And then Monday we have Mercury trine Jupiter. And so I feel like that's sort of the punctuation point on all of this Mercury trine Jupiter, because to me, the request of the astrology during the new moon is to take it easy, to rest, to go inward and do that self-love and that self-nurturing work, to scoop yourself up into your own arms and kiss your own wounds and tell yourself that it's going to be okay, and see what you can do inside of that. And then the Mercury moves into Cancer and catches that same energy again, and then it trines Jupiter in Pisces, and Jupiter in Pisces is connecting us to source. And so it helps us like merge and dissolve the barriers that keep us separate from source. And so like I'm actually really looking forward to this time. I really encourage you to under schedule yourself. I encourage you to make time to honor this new moon. It's a beautiful, big new moon with a great opportunity to reorganize sacred structure, boundaries, purpose, pleasure, reconnecting with your intuition. So it's all in there. And then by the time we get to Tuesday, when we meet here again, Venus and Mars actually connect, but we'll save that for next week. So this week's, I think, we talked about theme in our newsletter, and I'll just add to that. This one to me is just, there's no amount of self-love that could ever be too much. There's no amount of rest and recovery that could be too much. There's no, like, just give yourself what you need. Unlatch yourself from all the external forces that are telling you have to be something, or you need to do this, or blah, 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 blah. No, this week and weekend is for you, to take care of you. So that's what I have to say about that. I'm going to pass it over to Nadia to expand on all of it, or whatever she wants.
Hi. So normally I come like super prepared, but today I didn't prepare anything because I wasn't anticipating us having a class, but here I am. So what I always like to do when I'm in this flow state is just take a book that's near me and like open it up to a page, and the page is supposed to tell me what I'm going to talk about. So I just picked up this book, Magical Writing Grimoire, and I opened it up, and the first thing I opened it up to was the goodbye letter, a waning moon practice. So the waning moon is the moon between the full moon and the new moon, which is where we're at, where we're going. I'm not going to even continue to read what's here. You should pick this up though. This author is pretty amazing. I got this right after I did my Mercury wordcraft session, because she followed me right after I did that, and I was like, who is this person? And then I looked her up, and she does the same sort of writing work. So she's pretty cool. But I think this is a perfect segue, that the goodbye letter, because we're having the new moon in Cancer, and then working Mercury in Cancer. So to me, that's very informational. A lot of informational, not in the sense of like the Mercury in Gemini, which it feels like we've been stuck in forever and ever. And this is talking, I'm a Mercury in Gemini retrograde in my chart. It felt like it was way too long. Like I'm in my energy enough. I don't need to continue to be in that for like a month and a half, 2 months. It's like it's too much. So now that we're moving into the 16-day period, it's 16 days Mercury in Cancer, because Mercury at this point has been going really slowly. When we come out of the retrograde, Mercury speeds up really, really fast. Sometimes Mercury will move like 2 degrees a day. In the retrograde, it sometimes moves like 2 degrees every few days or a week, it's just depending. But I feel like this is a perfect way to end this very intense Gemini season, because once Mercury moves out of Gemini, we're officially out. I know we were like in Cancer season, but we'll be officially out. We're going to be going inward. We're going to be softening. Its information is going to come to us in a more intuitive way, a more empathic way. And so I'm going to give everyone, and just kind of channel this in, a prescription, not the right word, a, a topic for your goodbye letter. So the homework here is to write a goodbye letter to a piece of yourself that you are leaving behind, or that you are saying, like, I'm not going to hold this in the sacred container of self anymore, which to me is very Cancer. And I'm just going to say, thank you for what you have gifted to me, however I'm moving forward in X and Y and Z ways. So starting from Cancer, because it's easier for me to start there if I'm like going around. Cancer or Cancer rising, you're writing a goodbye letter to the antiquated ideals of self. The part of you that has been self-sacrificing, that has been a listener but not a voice, the part of you that has also been too beholden to your emotional self. You're writing a goodbye letter to that part of yourself and stepping into the power of your vulnerability and the power of that part of yourself, and being okay with the emotional flux and the flow. Gemini, Gemini rising, you are writing a goodbye letter to I'm just going to keep going with the antiquated ideal of what abundance is, how you should maneuver and manipulate forces of energy in order to create abundance and nourishment, when really you could just settle into the fact that you are naturally created as this abundant creature, and that if you just honor that love that you can bring from the inside out, you wouldn't have to search so much from the outside in. For Taurus, sorry, I'm going backwards. For Taurus or Taurus rising, that's the third house. You are going to write a goodbye letter to the opinions that you are anchored in, that you seem to share as if you are a master, and yet there's so much more learning you can do on like a baseline level. Writing a goodbye letter to the part of you that thinks that you know everything, but yet doesn't really know everything yet, and nor will you ever know everything. For Aries, you're writing your goodbye letter to a piece of you that maybe was hurt or not mothered or loved enough as you were growing up, to a part of your family that didn't cherish you the way that you needed to be cherished, that didn't honor you as this independent creative force. And you're writing your goodbye letter to that, and writing and inviting in like new family, new love, whatever that means to you. So this is the moon and the Mercury. That's because it's both going into Cancer. So then Pisces, fifth house, or Pisces rising, you're writing your goodbye letter to that part of you that thinks that you aren't this creative force field, that thinks that we're not all watching you with like bated breath to see what you come up with next, how you take the human condition and dissolve it into something that is, we can all sort of witness parts of ourselves in. Pisces is so artistic and creative and mystical. You're writing your goodbye letter to the part of yourself that shames yourself enough so that you don't experience the full capacity of joy. For Aquarius or Aquarius rising, you're writing your goodbye letter to that part of yourself that thinks that service has to be something that doesn't come with a smile. That's all about like, how can I be the most cerebral or stoic example of like progress for the future? And yet here we have Saturn and Aquarius, Jupiter is going back into Aquarius. There's something more expansive that you need to bring to your day-to-day world and how you work with people. It's not just about justice, it's about intimacy and serving people in a way that it shows that you're paying attention and not just to the whole collective. Capricorn, you're writing your goodbye letter to that idea that you have to be a loner, that you have to be somebody that is all business and doesn't think about relationships as part of how you grow, how you evolve, and like this radical responsibility of love that you are meant to be giving to somebody in this world, because without that Capricorn energy of authority and connection to that integrous source, we would all fall apart. So you're writing your goodbye letter to that, saying like, I can still have love and also these other things that I value. Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising, you're writing your goodbye letter to the part of yourself that we're not even sure what that is yet. So you're writing your goodbye letter to the to the superficiality, because you're looking for whatever's there in the mystery and the vastness and the void. You're writing your goodbye letter to that part of you that tries to always stay optimistic, and yet there's something that does not quite happy enough. Do you know what I'm saying? Did I miss one? Sorry, I'm like doing this all off the cuff. So I did Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius. Okay. Scorpio or Scorpio rising. You're writing your goodbye letter to the part of you that wants to just dwell and to hold yourself in containment in this moment. And you are setting yourself on a new course of adventure. That course of adventure includes learning how to re-love yourself by experiencing the love all around the world, the capacity for love, and the way that we are held by this great mother energy around the globe. Libra or Libra rising, you're writing your goodbye letter to that part of you that doesn't think that you are meant to be the boss, the spine of it all, the part of you that's like, I'm too hard, I don't want to push because I'm too centered in harmony. And yet we can have this beautiful harmonious world that you could give to us, and yet hold yourself in that place of authority. So you're writing your goodbye letter to that part. Virgo or Virgo rising, you're writing your goodbye letter to the part of you that, Virgo is the hermit, that wants to hermit away, that wants to close itself off, that is too afraid of the anxiety that gets caused by the fact that other people are not following the patterns of where you think the world should be going, what the world should be doing, how it should be operating. Virgo or Virgo rising, you're letting go of controlling other people and in fact learning from them as part of a way for all of us to manifest some sort of magic to nourish each other. And then Leo or Leo rising, you're writing a goodbye letter to your ego. That's it. You're just writing a goodbye letter to your ego. You're going back into the womb, the subconscious mind. You're learning where your spiritual, that golden thread of spirituality is within you during this period of time. You soften as much as possible, and you let go of that part of yourself that says, I am better in X, Y, and Z way. And you come into what it is you actually are and who you are by focusing on your spiritual path. And that is my channeled message for new moon in Cancer and Mercury in Cancer.
That was awesome. I started writing it down. I'm like, no, people are just gonna have to watch the video. This is too good. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So for anybody watching on YouTube, we have if you catch this before Wednesday, we're actually doing a live free community class with the Cancer Astro Nidra for this year. And that's Wednesday at 10 a.m. PST. On Thursday at 11 a.m. PST, we have the Cancer New Moon Circle. And both of these events are with me. They will be quite different. The new moon is exact on Friday, the 9th at 6:16 p.m. PST. And Mercury is moving on Sunday. So we will see you again next week. And If you don't know yet, I just want to let you know that we do these recordings live. And after we sign off here with you on YouTube, we actually go into doing mini readings with people that are in attendance. And so if you want to come to one of those, you can go to www.attunetothemoon.com and sign up there. So hopefully we'll see some of you there soon.